let's have a moment of honesty here.
Trust the process, 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 trust the
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This week we are finally getting started on this dining room makeover. Last week we really took the time to find inspiration and really craft the design and figure out what we're gonna do with the space. I feel pretty good. For the most part, I feel like I can see it in my head. Paint colors, on the other hand, are still an issue. I'm really debating between the El Matador and the La Conchita, and I thought you guys would be a big help, and you guys were not a big help because you were pretty equally split between the two. That's okay. I don't need to make the decision right this moment. Right now, though, I am finally getting rid of this blue wall. We need to prime this thing with a special mineral primer for Limewash, which means that this is the first time I'm gonna see this wall, or this whole room really, just white since like the month I moved in almost 4 years ago. So it's gonna be a big change just turning it to white. I'm really excited to jump into this. We have a lot of prep to do. Obviously, we need to cover up the cabinets and the floors. You know, there's a lot of prep that goes into painting before you actually start painting. So let's just jump right into it. Remember, it is super important with all paint, but specifically with Limewash paint, to clean your surface before you do any kind of primer or anything. It will affect the Limewash since it's so thin. It will affect it. So make sure you are fully dusting and cleaning your surfaces before you start. So I'm glad I caught this early. I realized I actually taped the wrong area because that whole thing is getting painted as well as this wall. So I need to get rid of that and tape underneath here, because the ceiling in the kitchen is not getting painted, but that is, it's confusing. All right, now that I have all of the edge taping done around the sections that I'm going to be painting, before I start the mineral primer, I'm gonna go around all of the places where the paint is going to meet the green cabinets. And I'm going to take my Vauxhall green that's on the green cabinets and just paint on that line. Just so before I put the primer on, if anything gets under that tape, it's going to be green and not either the primer or the Limewash. Just want those lines to be super, super crisp. So I'm just gonna go over each of those transitions with the Vauxhall green real quick, and then we can start the primer. Let's prime. done. I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit, and then we'll pop up round 2, and hopefully that's all I have to do before starting this lime wash. Good morning, guys. So I slept on it, thinking about if I should do another coat or not. I have pretty good coverage. There's a couple spots where the blue is kind of seeping through, obviously just on this wall where the blue was. These completely fine up here. I don't need to do that again. And I slept on it. If I was painting, I would be like, I'm totally fine. I'm gonna get complete coverage. Because the lime wash is so light, even though I'm gonna be doing multiple coats, I really, really do not want there to be even the slightest tinge of like a blue undertone seeping through. So I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm just going to do another coat just on this wall. Obviously, I don't need to do that again. But just to play it safe, I slept on it and I was going back and forth. I was like, no, it's fine. It's not gonna come through. And I was like, you know what? Why risk it? So I'm gonna do a quick third coat, and then I'm going to pick up my lime wash, which I have made a decision on. And I'm gonna tell you in a sec. But right now, I'm gonna do that third coat of primer real quick.
I'm waiting at the doorstep, finally home. I've been gone for too long. Standing here a while just to take it all in. Radio's playing our song. And then you stood there smiling at me, as so many times before. I'll never wanna be away, leave you again. You are all I want and more. It's true. If only I could do one thing, I'll be with you. It's true.
Okay, we've got our paint, we've got our tools. Let's go home and do this. Okay, now for the fun part. We're gonna start lime washing. And as you know, I was going back and forth between those top 2 samples forever, the El Matador and the La Conchita. And I asked for your guys' help, and you guys were no help, because you guys are pretty evenly split, which, you know what, I appreciate the opinions. I really thought it would just be one way or the other. But I think that just kind of goes to the fact that they both could work. And so I decided to use them both. I've never done two-tone lime wash before. It is very possible you're gonna do one layer and then you'll do another one, or I can do multiple layers of one and then finish it off with one at the end. I think I'm gonna kind of go back and forth and try to layer them as much as possible and really just see if I can build out the different tones. That's my plan. El Matador was the one I was really leaning towards. And I understood a lot of the concern that people had with the darkness of it, which I had as well. La Conchita, I loved the tone of it. It was just so light. It didn't give me a lot of different tones. So that's what worried me about that. Not to mention I had the idea that it kind of just looked like khaki in my head. And there's nothing wrong with khaki. It just is so plain to me. And if I was going to lime wash, I want to be able to see that texture, and La Conchita was just not giving it to me. Anyway, I say best of both worlds. I'm gonna start with the El Matador, start with something dark. Obviously, if you saw the first video, you know that lime wash is all about process. It's all about building up the different textures in the paint. So the first couple passes, it's going to look wild. It's going to be like, well, it just looks like a really sloppy paint job. But that's kind of the point. You build it up and it fades a lot after each coat, but you really start to build up that texture and the different highs and lows, and that's the fun part. So there's really no right or wrong way to do it. There is technique, but there's no right or wrong way to do this. So I'm gonna start with the darker one, the El Matador, build that up on the first coat. We'll let it dry. Then I'll go over with the La Conchita, and we'll see where we're at. That's the plan. I'm using the same technique that I learned while doing the Limewash in my bedroom last year. You basically form these clouds. Pick a spot and just spread the paint out as much as possible. Using X-like motions, just push the paint out as much as possible, spread it around, and push it into the other clouds you form. You want it to flow and be super free and easy and organic. There's obviously going to be spots that are darker than others, but that's why you're doing multiple coats. Forgot how much of a workout Limewash painting is. Like, it is just like you are just constantly. Gosh, my shoulder is killing me. I ended up actually turning on my watch so I can get the calories counted. First coat is done, and I know a lot of people hate this term, but Limewash painting is really about trusting the process. I know it doesn't look very good right now. You know it doesn't look very good right now. It's about building it up and layering it so we get that texture. I mean, we're already getting those cloud formations, which is what I want. I don't want any super harsh lines, so I feel pretty good so far that I've avoided that. That's kind of the hard thing, is that you really have to brush it out as much as possible so you don't get any hard edges, and that's the thing that kind of takes forever. This first coat took me 45 minutes to get up. But you know what? I'm loving this side. I mean, the side I started with that I'm drying, that's dried. I love the color over here. Over here, I mean, it goes on, El Matador goes on, we know this, it goes on very orangey. I love the color that it dries into. So I'm loving that side. I'm gonna wait for this all to dry before we go in, and then we're gonna do some La Conchita on it. I'm gonna start from a different section. The important thing to remember is that on different coats, you should start from a different spot, so that you're not covering the same area in the exact same way. You want to be switching it up. You want that organic quality too, so you don't want to be going over the exact same spots like you did before. But we're gonna let it dry for a while before we do another coat. Woo! It's taking all of my willpower not to freak out. It's just a second coat. I'm gonna let it dry. I'm not gonna hold any kind of opinion right now because it's not dry, so I can't have an opinion yet. It'll be fine. Let's have a conversation about pros and cons at where we're at right now. So we have done 2 coats. The first coat was with the El Matador, and the second coat was with the La Conchita. Pros right now, I'm doing a pretty good job of blending. I don't see any like really harsh lines anywhere, which I'm really proud of. My shoulder definitely felt it this morning. Con, right now, I ended with the La Conchita on top. Right now, it's just one coat of each, so they're not like super. There's spots and less blended so much of the two colors, which is fine. It's only one coat of each, so that's to be expected. But I have noticed, and this is the thing that I was afraid of with the La Conchita. Since the La Conchita is on top right now, there is a massive peach undertone to it. And it says so in the description for the paint that it has a peach undertone. And the thing that worried me about peach undertone is that I have these vinyl floors that have a massive red undertone to them. Not my favorite flooring in the world, but it is what it is. I have to work with it. And I learned this the hard way on the hallway that I did a couple years ago. I had those beach pictures and I was like, well, I'm gonna find a two-tone tans that match the beach pictures, not thinking about anything else in the hallway. And I found two colors that I really liked. They worked really well with the painting, and I just did two-tone. I did top and bottom. And after they dried, I looked at it and I was like, why did I just paint my hallway pink? And the colors aren't pink. It's because they had these pink undertones, and then you have this red flooring right next to it, and suddenly your eye just suddenly, everything turns pink. And that's kind of what I was worried with the La Conchita. I don't think it's coming up on camera. I think it actually looks better on camera than it does in person. Right now, I'm just seeing a lot of pink. I don't hate the color, but I think because the flooring is the light from the flooring is reflecting off of it, I'm getting a lot of pink. Not to mention it's splotchy with the yellower undertones from the El Matador. So I think what I'm figuring out from this process is that I want the El Matador. I don't hate the La Conchita. I actually like it, and I think it's going to give a lot of texture and like low notes to the wall. But I think the El Matador has to be the top coat because I like that color a little bit better, and I think that's more of what I'm going for, more of that earthier, sandier color. Yeah, it has a little bit more of a yellow undertone to it, but I think that's what I'm going for in the general design of the room more than the La Conchita. I think I really have to work with the blending. It's only one coat of each, so I'm trying to be positive. This is the first time, again, that I've worked with two-tone Limewash. And I think I just need to work better with the blending. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do 2 coats today of the El Matador and see where we're at with that. I'm not going to go super heavy on these coats. The first coat I did, obviously, I was just trying to get coverage. And now I'm trying to build up the texture and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go super, super heavy, but I'm going to try to do 2 coats of the El Matador. And if I want to go lighter, I can do a coat or 2 of the La Conchita on top of that. And then we're gonna reassess. But this is all, you know, I'm just kind of doing this by eye. There's not really, I mean, there is technique to the Limewash, but this process is really just feeling out how I want the space. And right now, having sat with this morning after everything dried, I do like the texture that is coming up on the wall with the 2 colors. I just don't want the La Conchita, I know, to be the primary color in here. So we're going to go ahead and do some El Matador right now. Good morning, guys. I have to admit, I am at a bit of a crossroads here. I love the direction it's going with the El Matador, and I'm really nervous about doing another coat of the La Conchita right now. Yeah, I don't know. I thought about like maybe watering it down a little bit just so it's really light and kind of like a wash over the top. But I think the move is to keep building with the El Matador. It definitely needs some more coats. I definitely am not there yet. The coats that I did yesterday were pretty light. Maybe I just keep that one coat of the La Conchita that I had and let it poke through and let that be my light and dark contrast instead of building it up and letting both of the colors be equal. Because I don't know. My gut is saying don't put more La Conchita on it because when I woke up yesterday, it was so like pink and I was like, ugh. So I don't want that to be a main color. I'm going to go with another El Matador. It's the safe route. I don't want to cover up all of the La Conchita because I like those highs and lows. I really love the texture and the darker layering that I'm getting right now from that darker color. So I'm going to continue with that and hopefully I can get more darker tones and keep those lighter tones from the La Conchita. Again, it's this is all kind of an experiment. So yeah, El Matador. I'm gonna stick with it.
Standing underneath the lights, look into each other's eyes. Tired snowflakes are coming down, collapse into water when they hit the ground. I hear the sound of empty streets. Yesterday has gone to sleep, so all that's left is you and me.
It was around this point in the process that I was beginning to become very frustrated. Each coat was looking less and less blended, and I was covering up all of the La Conchita. So I decided to completely change course.
Close your eyes and let us fade away.
Instead of continuing with this cloud technique, I decided to do a full coverage crosshatch technique. It's a different process I've seen done where you just cover the whole wall in the X motion. The clouds weren't working anymore, so I had to change it up, and I've seen it done this way, so fingers crossed.
Quiet voices in the night. Time is running out of sight. A lonely wind is passing by. Tries to carry all the whispers that it finds. The walls are listening when we talk.
Let's have a moment of honesty here. I was getting so frustrated that those clouds, the technique that I used previously, the technique that I know works, was not working in this case. And I was on coat 5 or 6 at that point, and it just still was not blending, and it was driving me absolutely insane. I don't know if it's the paint, I don't know if it's the wall, I don't know if it's my brush. I was just starting to get really frustrated because I was like almost there. I loved the way it was going, but I could just not get it to blend. And then I ran out of El Matador, and I was like, well, what do I do now? And I got so frustrated, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to switch up techniques. And I took the La Conchita, which I still had a lot of because I only did one coat, and I just did a full crosshatch, just heavy coat of the La Conchita. And that's where we're at right now. I'm going to see where it dries. If I like that technique better, and I'm happy with the color, then it is what it is. But if I still need to go back to El Matador, then I will get another El Matador, and I'll do the crosshatch with that. But I was, it would have been so easy for me to just cut out all of the stuff from before and just show you the stuff that works. But honestly, I don't know why that technique was not working like it had worked for me before. Honestly, it's a different paint company, so maybe it's the type of paint that I had, the type of Limewash, but it just was not working in this case. And so I went with the crosshatch. We're gonna wait for it to dry, and I'll see where I'm at then. But I'm gonna step away because I'm getting frustrated. Have a good night, guys. Something good came out of my frustration. I did a heavy crosshatch pattern with the La Conchita last night, and it is the first time that I feel like I really have a uniform texture all the way across the wall, all the way across the dining room. And I'm happy. Sometimes you just have to change course and do something completely different, because what I was doing, the type of technique that I was doing was just not working. And I had to say it just was not working. And then I did one coat like this, and suddenly I'm happy. Again, I don't know what it was, if it was different, if it was because of the different paint, if it was because of the brush, if it was, there's so many different factors. Whatever. I got to where I wanted to be. Now, I did do La Conchita with this texture, which is actually not terrible. I think because I've done more coats, it's not nearly as pink as it was the first time I did it. But I still want the El Matador to be the main color. I like the darker, earthier tone of that. So I am gonna go over, for hopefully the final time, in a heavy crosshatch like I did with the La Conchita. I'm gonna do it with the El Matador, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this gets exactly to where I want to be. It took a while to get there, but we are going in the right direction. We just have to wait, say a prayer, because I don't have any more paint, and I feel like my fingers are about to fall off. So this is it. Fingers crossed. There. And honestly, this color is chef's kiss. The marriage of the El Matador and the La Conchita works so well together. It's not too pink like the La Conchita, it's not too orange like the undertones of the El Matador. It is perfect. The movement in the wall is absolutely there, but it's not overpowering. I love that I brought it out, up and over the kitchen, because it feels like it frames out the kitchen, and it feels like the dining room is its own space. Not to mention, obviously, when you paint something lighter from a darker color, it's gonna feel bigger, but it feels so much bigger in this space. Some minor things about this. If you look closely at the top, I didn't spend a lot of time at the top edge because I'm gonna have crown molding up there that's gonna connect the dining room and the living room. That's for a future project down the road. So I didn't worry too much about it because it's gonna be covered. And the outlets, right now, they're still white. I'm gonna probably go get like a beige outlet socket and cover. I don't want the outlets to be the star of the show on the wall, obviously. I just haven't gotten those yet. So those are absolutely gonna be changed. And it's just the first project. I love the way this turned out. This is exactly the color that I had in my head. It took a while to get there, but we got there. And I'm so grateful because it works so well. It works so well with the green. It works so well with the wood tones. Everything before was so dark in this space. I had the dark blue, I had a dark table, I had darker wood tones. Now the color and movement of the wall works with the movement of the plaster in the table. It works with the wood tones. It feels so purposeful now, and everything kind of feels like it's starting to fit together. And it's just the first project. We have a lot more to do in this space. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe to the channel. Obviously, we have a lot more to do in the dining room. We have a lot more to do all over this apartment. Join us. We're having a lot of fun. I can't wait to keep moving on this room. I'll see you guys on the next project. Have a great week, guys. Bye.